Hello everyone. We'll discuss J Advanced 2020, paper 2 of chemistry. This paper was held on 27th of September, Sunday. We'll discuss each and every aspect of the question in this paper, so it will be a detailed solution basically. So let's start with the section 1. This contains 6 questions with single digit integer type questions, where answer must be in between 0 and 9, and both 0 and 9 are inclusive. In the first question is given the first, second, and third ionization enthalpies I1, I2, and I3 for 4 atoms of atomic number n, n plus 2, n plus 1, n plus 2, and n plus 3, where n is less than 10 are tabulated below. What's the value of n? So first you have to notice the ionization energies. You can see that for n plus 2 ionization energy is 496, then it is suddenly high. That means it is certainly an alkali metal. And in the next case, if you notice that ionization energy first and second there is a slight gap, but from second to third there is a sudden gap. This is certainly an alkaline earth metal. So we can easily predict here that n plus 2 is an alkali metal and n plus 3 is an alkaline earth metal. We can mark this thing carefully first. So we can say as for n plus 2, first ionization energy and second ionization energy gap is much higher, and where second and third gap is not that much higher. So it simply means it is an alkali metal. And for n plus 3, if you see ionization energy 2 is greater than 1, but 3 is much greater than 2, then it is certainly alkaline earth metal. This is certainly alkaline earth metal. So now for n plus 3, now you can see that we have to find out an alkali metal with atomic number n plus 2, and n is certainly less than 10. So for an alkali metal, of atomic number n plus 2 and n less than 10, then n plus 2 can be either for lithium or for sodium. N plus 3 can be, n plus 2 can be, n plus 2 can be either 3 or 11. This is for lithium and this is for sodium. Okay. Now, if I write n plus 2 equal to 11, it simply means n is equal to 9. And if I write n plus 2 equal to 3, that means n is equal to 1. That means the first element will be hydrogen. And for hydrogen, 3 ionization energies are not defined. That means n equal to 1 is not the possible answer. So we write answer 9. We can write, but n equal to 1 cannot be possible. Why it is not possible? Because as for hydrogen, 3 ionization energies are not possible. I1, I2 and I3 is not possible because it only had one single electron. As for hydrogen, I1, I2 and I3 are not possible because it is a single electron system. So 3 electrons cannot be removed. Hence your answer is 9 here. Clear? Then to the next question, it's given consider the following compounds in the liquid form. When the charged form is brought nearer their flowing stream, how many of them show the deflection as per the following figure? So you know all the charged species will be attracted towards the system. So that means all the species which have a non-zero dipole moment can be attracted towards the charged object. Okay, so simply you have to check the dipole moment. So we can write all the molecules having non-zero dipole moment, can be attracted towards charged object. Okay, and you can see here that for oxygen, CCl4 and benzene, dipole moment is 0. So rest all can be attracted. For oxygen, CCl4 and benzene, dipole moment is 0. Hence, HF, water, ammonia, hydrogen peroxide, H2O2, chloroform, although dipole moment of chloroform is very less, but it is non-zero, and C6H5Cl will show deflection. And in the question it is asked that how many of them will do so. So our answer will be 6, right? So answer for this question is 6. Next question you will see it's given in the chemical reaction between stoichiometric quantity of KMnO4 and Ki in weakly basic solution. What's the number of moles of iodine released for 4 moles of KMnO4 consumed? Now this is a little technical question in this paper because we all know that KMnO4 in weakly basic medium when reacts with Ki it actually forms KiO3. And this you can quote from NCERT. Now you have to do a smart work. If you have marked answer 0 for this question, then you have to quote your NCERT book to get the marks in this question. And if you have simply followed the equation as it is given, then it is simply a balancing of redox reaction question, and there you will get the answer. So there are two possible answers for this question as per my thought, because if someone will go with the inorganic chemistry idea that KMnO4 with Ki in weakly alkaline medium will not produce iodine, so whatever amount of KMnO4 you'll add will not get iodine, so answer must be 0. Or else if you have followed a chemical equation as given in the question and you have followed a balanced chemical equation of KMnO4 with Ki in the weakly alkaline medium and you have reduced iodine as given in the question, then it is simply balancing of redox reaction question and you will get the answer. So I'm giving you both the solutions, and as per IIT answer keys, you can or whatever answer you have marked, in that case you can challenge your answer. So first I'll give you a clue for answer 0. So here we have to quote NCERT text for this. So I'll show you that data directly. You can refer your NCERT 12th class volume 1 of D block elements, and there will find out this equation in weakly alkaline medium. KMnO4 on reaction with Ki does not produce iodine. You can see here the product is IO3 minus, which is iodate ion. So you can mark answer 0 for this question because the product given is cannot be formed. Otherwise, the question can be solved with the help of balancing or redox reaction. That also I told you. So first you will write answer for this question. So in the reaction of KMnO4 with Ki in weakly basic medium, weakly basic medium, no iodine is formed. Hence, answer will be 0. Hence, answer can be 0. Okay. Or else you can simply solve it by balancing of redox reaction case, where you can form from I minus to I2 and then simply balance the equation and you will get your desired answer. So that can also be an answer. If you have gone through with the balancing of redox reaction, then you go with that answer. Otherwise, if you have gone with the inorganic case, you will go with this answer. So whatever answer you have marked, you can challenge the other answer as per your need. I've given you the sufficient support for the version. So now see it in terms of redox reaction case. So another method, KMnO4 in weakly alkaline medium will convert from oxidation state +7 to +4. And Ki will change its oxidation state from -1 to 0. So first you balance it with 2 Ki. And then here oxidation number decreased by 3 units. Here oxidation number increased by 2 units. So multiply the first expression by 2 and second expression by 3. So your equation will be 2MnO4 minus plus 6Ki gives 2MnO2 plus 3I2. Okay. So from 2 mole of MnO4 minus, we get 3 moles of iodine. It's given from 4 moles of MnO4 minus. Question is given from 4 moles of KMnO4. How many moles of iodine will form? So it will be simply 6 moles. So its other answer possible is 6. So I'm giving you two answers, either 0 or 6. If you consider the NCERT reaction, that iodine is not formed in this reaction, so you can see 0 answer. Or if you go through with the Palenciov redox reaction, your answer will be 6. You can solve this question by law of Gram equivalence also. That is also one of the technique. Otherwise, balancing is the most easier option here. So I've gone with that. So answer can be 6 or 0. 0 for those who have opted the equation in terms of inorganic chemistry. I've given you a reference of NCERT book also so that you can easily get your answer done 0. Otherwise, balancing of redox reaction, answer will be 6 here. Now move to the next question. In this question, it's given an acidified solution of potassium chromate was layered with the equal volume of amyl alcohol. When it is taken after addition of 1 ml of 3% H2O2, a blue solution, the blue alcohol layer was obtained. The blue color is due to the formation of chromium 6 compound X. So you can understand here compound X is blue chrome, which is CrO5. And this is a blue color compound. We draw structure for this, that it is having butterfly structure, CrO5, having 2 peroxy linkages. The question is asked the number of, so this is your X basically, the number of oxygen atoms bonded to chromium through only single bond in this molecule. So there's actually 4 bonds. You can count 1, 2, 3, 4. So answer is 4 here. Is that okay? Now to the next question. It's when the structure of peptide is given below. The absolute values of the net charges of peptide at pH 2, pH 6 and pH 11 are mod Z1, mod Z2 and mod Z3 respectively. And you have to write Z1, Z2 and Z3. So you can see that when we'll check this option at pH 2, so pH 2 means acidic medium. So all the alkaline sites will be protonated. So you can see we have two alkaline sites, this is one and this is another one. So this will be protonated. So I can write here Z1 will be equal to 2 or simply mod of Z1 will be equal to 2. When pH is 6, then it will be close to its isoelectric point. That means it exists as dipolar ion. So acidic site will lose its H plus and move to its basic site. So you can see that it will be NH3 plus, this is COO minus, this is COO minus, and this is NH3 plus. So net charge will be 0 here. So you can write Z2 is 0 or simply mod of Z2 is, you can say 0 here. And the third case it is given when pH is 11, that means it is basic medium. In basic medium, all the acidic sites will lose its H plus. And you can see in the initial compound, we have a phenolic ring also, which can also lose its H plus because after pH 10, phenol will also lose its H plus. And these are carboxylic acids, which will certainly lose its H plus. And amines will definitely not have any proton. So at pH 11, we'll have this negative charge, this one, and this one. So total 3 minus charges will be there. So here Z3 will be equal to minus 3. And mod of Z3 will be 3. And the question is asked mod of Z1 plus mod of Z2 plus mod of Z3. So this comes out to be 2 plus 0 plus 3, which is 5. So answer for this question is 5. Okay. Simple biomolecule question. You can say amino acid question, isoelectric point and pH variation structure based questions there. So answer will be 5 here. Now to the another question. Given an organic compound C8H10O2 rotates plain polarized light, it produces green color with neutral FeCl3. So it confirms test of phenolic group. What is the total number of all possible isomer of the compound? So you can write one possible structure for this compound is it must have a phenolic group and it rotates plane polarized light. That means it should be optically active. So for optical activity, one carbon with CH, CH3 and C double bond OH. If you match the formula, it is C8 H10O2. This is one possible form. Now you can see with respect to OH, I can substitute this group at ortho, para, and meta position. So three possible forms are possible, and each form is optically active. So it will be simply double in that case because all the isomers is asked. So it is 6. And definitely there is a discrepancy in that question. What is the total number of all possible isomer of this compound? Then this will be a very large number because you can draw all possible structures. I hope you got the point what I'm trying to say, because you can change its phenol, it can convert into alcohol, you can write open chain compound also. Multiple possibilities are there. But I'm trying to draw the structure which rotates the plane polarized light and it shows the pink color also. Both the conditions are fulfilled by all the isomers. That main number of isomers will be 6. So we can write three possible isomers here, ortho, meta, and para. That is three isomers. And for everyone, it's an enantiomer is also possible. It's an enantiomer. An enantiomeric pair will be there. So number of isomers will be 6. Those who fulfill the two conditions, that is changing the color of neutral FeCl3 and it is optically active. So answer is 6 here. Make it very clear, I'm writing only those isomers which produces pink color with neutral FeCl3 and rotates plane polarized light. So what is the total number of all possible isomer of this compound? So we are writing those isomers which shows pink color and rotates plane polarized light. That's why answer is 6 here. Now to the second section, this is multiple option correct question based section. And look at the question number 7. So it's given in the experiment m gram of a compound X, which is solid, liquid, and gas, taken in a container is loaded in a balance as shown in the figure 1. The presence of magnetic field, the fan will with the X is either reflected upward or reflected downward. So automatically those will be attracted by the magnetic field will reflect downward. Those which will be repelled by the magnetic field will be deflected upward. So that means you can easily understand this is the case of repulsion from magnetic field. Repulsion from magnetic field. And this is basically attraction from magnetic field. And we know that paramagnetic substances are attracted in magnetic field, whereas diamagnetic substances are repelled in the magnetic field. So basically in this case, you have to check about paramagnetism and diamagnetism. I wish you understand the question first. So X is water liquid deflection the pan upward, X is CK4FeCN6 deflection the pan down upward, X is oxygen deflection the pan is downward, and benzene case is also there. You can understand here water is diamagnetic, K4FeCN6 is diamagnetic, oxygen is paramagnetic, and benzene is diamagnetic. So accordingly we will decide the answer. So here water K4FeCN6. Here you can notice in K4FeCN6 it is actually Fe2 plus form, which is 3d6 configuration, and Cn minus strong field ligand. So all electron paired. So this is diamagnetic, and benzene are diamagnetic. And these diamagnetic substances will be repelled by the magnetic field. Are diamagnetic, so upward deflection because they will show repulsion. And oxygen is given to you in the gaseous form. This paramagnetic. From molecular orbital theory, we all know that oxygen is paramagnetic, having 200 electron and pi anti-bonding molecular orbital. So it is attracted by magnetic field, so downward deflection. So it will show downward deflection. And once it is downward deflection, so answer must be ABC. Quickly check the option. Water deflection fan is upward, correct. K4 efficiency upward, that is also correct. Oxygen is downward, that is also correct. Benzene is given downward, it should be upward, so that is wrong. The answer must be A, B, and C. Okay. Now to the next question. It's given which of the following plot is are correct given for the given reaction. Okay. You can see that the given reaction is SN1 reaction. And once it is SN1 reaction, then it is of first order reaction. It is SN1 reaction and it is of first order reaction, because rate of the reaction will be K into active mass of this reactant, K into active mass of this reactant, which is alkyl halide. So as it is a first order reaction, so its half-life is independent of initial concentration. We know for first order reaction, half-life is independent of initial concentration, right? So half-life independent of initial concentration, that means his answer A is correct. Let's give an initial rate with respect to P naught. This is for zero order reaction. You can easily predict the plot. This is for zero order reaction. In case of zero order reaction, rate is rate independent of initial concentration. So this is certainly a wrong plot. First one is correct. In third one, it's given Q upon P naught. So you can see that if the starting concentration is P naught here, so it will consume something P naught minus X, it will form X. So if I have to write X upon P naught, that means it will reach to its saturation value. That means if I have to plot for Q by P naught against time for a first order reaction, concentration of Q by P naught. So as the time reaches to the infinity, this will reach to 0, this will reach to P naught. So finally its value will tends towards 1. So this graph should look like this. Here you can say this value is finally 1. That means this plot is also incorrect. When we plot, that means option C is also wrong. And the option D is given ln of P by P naught. So we know for first order reaction, K equal to 1 upon T ln of P naught upon P. Kt equal to, and now I have to plot ln of P by P naught, ln of P by P naught. So this comes out to be minus Kt. So it will be a straight line with negative slope. It will be a straight line with negative slope. Okay, so that means option D is also incorrect. So the only correct answer is A. So although it is a multi-correct question, but it's only one answer is correct, which is A. Because for ln of P naught by P is Kt. But when we write ln of P by P naught, it will be minus Kt. So it will be a negative slope line, and you can see in option D it's a positive slope line. That means it's an incorrect option. That cannot be the correct answer. So its answer must be A only. Okay. Then to the next question, it's given among the following statement is true for the extraction of aluminum from bauxite. So this is actually an metallurgy based question. It's given hydrated Al2O3 precipitates when CO2 is bubbled through the solution of sodium aluminate. So you know that when excess of NaOH is added up to bauxite, it basically converts to sodium metaluminate NaLO2, and then will pass CO2, which is acidic in nature, will consume its NaOH, and finally it's given hydrated Al2O3. So this is actually a question directly taken from NCERT 12th volume 1 metallurgy chapter. So I've quoted the paragraph directly so that you can refer the statement. First statement, the aluminate solution is neutralized by passing CO2 gas and hydrated Al2O3 is precipitated. You can see that all the statements are copied from NCERT book. Many times during my teaching, I have already explained to you this factor that in case of inorganic chemistry, many questions are directly copied from NCERT book because statements are very important. So it's very essential. Those who are preparing for JEE Advanced 2021, they should be very serious about this fact that you have to focus on your NCERT book. Many statements are from that book. Even in other questions also that is applicable, but here it is directly copied. That's why I have quoted the text. So first statement is clear, correct. Second statement is given addition of NaF3 lowers the melting point of the alumina. You can notice it here. You can notice this here that the role of Na3AlF6 and CaF2 is to lower the melting point of the mixture and brings the conductivity. So these are actually flux for the question. Third part, even CO2 is evolved at the anode. CO2 is evolved at the anode during the electrolysis. So this process is also given here. Basically, during electrolysis, oxygen is liberated, and this reacts with the anode of carbon and producing carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide. That is also correct statement. In the last statement, it's given that the anode is steel vessel lined with the carbon, so that you can also refer. It's given steel anode and graphite cathode is used for this metallurgical operation, and that cathode is basically lined by carbon. So carbon lined steel vessel cathode is used for this metallurgy. So that is also correct statement. So here all four statements are right. So answer must be A, B, C, D. So answer must be A, B, C, D. And I have exactly copied the paragraph from NCERT book so that you can easily refer it from your book. Even equation numbers I have also not changed. Okay, so this is exactly copied from NCERT book. That's why the answer is A, B, C, D. Otherwise, it was very easy question. You can simply know all the statements. You can verify by your own also without even referring the book. I have shown the book because it will be helpful for you for futuristic studies and preparations. Those who are going for the challenges, they can also refer to these books if some discrepancy in the answer has appeared at the end. Now question number 10, it's given choose the correct statement among the following. SnCl2.2H2 is a reducing agent. It's a very standard question. You know the test of mercury chloride with SnCl2 or test of tin also. So SnCl2 treated with mercury chloride HgCl2. So in this reaction it will form SnCl4 and Hg2Cl2. And further Hg2Cl2 reacts with SnCl2 and finally converts to SnCl4 and mercury. You know, first case is the white precipitate, second one is black precipitate, so commonly it will form gray color. So that is all is not asked, simply you have to check the oxygen state. So here you can see that tin is in +2 oxygen state, here it is +4, your mercury oxygen state is +2 and +1, here it is +1 and 0, this is +2 to +4. You can easily see that this process is oxidation, hence SnCl2 is reducing agent. So statement 1 is correct here. Next case study, when SnCl2 reacts with KOH to form K2SnOH whole twice. So we all know that tin is amphoteric in nature, so it reacts with acid as well as with base. So when SnO2 is treated with KOH, first it forms its hydroxide form, which is a white precipitate. SnOH whole 4, this is a white precipitate. Now this white precipitate is soluble in excess of KOH. So if you add further KOH to this compound, it will form a complex K2SnOH whole 6, which is the given option. So it's correct option. So it is soluble. Next case, it is given a solution of PbCl2 and HCl contains Pb2 plus and Cl minus ion. So this you can say a partially correct statement because PbCl2 is sparingly soluble in water, so you can get Pb2 plus and Cl minus ion. But actually it's given in HCl, so there it will dissolve. So better that we will not write this as answer. It's up to you how you convince IIT. So PbCl2 treated with HCl, it actually forms H2PbCl4. This is the complex form and this is soluble one. You can say very less amount of Pb2 plus and Cl minus will be there. If you will consider the sparingly soluble substance and that solubility factor, if you check Pb2 plus and Cl minus are present, then it is correct, or else it is a wrong statement. And the last option is given the reaction of Pb3O4 with the hot dilute nitric acid to give PbO2 is a redox reaction. So you understood, I think PbCl2 is sparingly soluble. This is sparingly soluble salt. So in case of aqueous medium, it will be Pb2 plus and 2Cl minus. You can consider statement C correct also. Otherwise, if you will consider significant amount of Pb2 plus and Cl minus, then it is certainly not present because it will convert into a complex of H2 PbCl4 and dilute HCl. So better is that we not consider the answer C. But if any one of you have considered it, then you can challenge it by saying that PbCl2 is currently soluble salt. So it must have some Pb2 plus and some Cl minus also because it's not 100% soluble. So in that case, you may say that answer C is correct. So that I'll come to the end, but I'll mark the answer. Now the last option is given Pb3O4 reactions with HNO3. That also you write. So Pb3O4 when reacts with HNO3, this actually confirms that it is a mixed oxide because when it reacts with HNO3, it forms both the salts. It will form PbO2 and lead nitrate. So this is a balanced equation. Now, if you check the oxidation state, you can see that here lead is +4, here it is +2. And in this case, if I write the oxidation state of lead, all three lead, so it is +2, +2, and +4. It's a mixed oxide. And these are oxidation numbers of lead. So there is no change in oxidation number. That means this, it is not a redox reaction. Okay. So you can write here, no change in oxidation number of lead, or even nitrogen also you can check. Here it is +5 and here also it is +5. So there is no change in oxidation state of nitrogen also. So here no change in oxidation number. That's why it is not a redox reaction. No change in oxidation number. Here no change in oxidation number. So it's not a redox reaction. Hence this option is also incorrect. It's even the reaction of Pb3O4 with hot dilute HNO3 gives PbO2 is a redox reaction. You can notice that this statement becomes wrong because of this last term, redox reaction. So only statement A and B is correct. Although in some cases you can say it is ABC correct. So you can write two answers, AB or ABC. Okay. So answer for the question is AB or ABC. Better will be AB over here. Now question number 11 is given which of the following compound for four compound 1, 2, 3, 4. Consider the following four compounds 1, 2, 3, 4. Choose the correct statements. So here you can notice that order of basicity is asked. You can simply see that the basic strength order will be certainly, you can see in option number 4, it is SIR effect. I hope all of you can easily notice. In 4, steric inhibition of resonance is there because of this bulkier character group and ortho position to NO2 is given, so they'll give repulsion to each other. So steric inhibition of resonance takes place. Steric inhibition of resonance takes place. So its basic strength will be more than 3. So its basic strength will be more than 3. So order of basicity is 2, 1, 3, 4. Is certainly incorrect. The magnitude of pKb difference between 1 and 2 is more than that between 3 and 4. So you can see because in this case SIR effect is applicable. So higher difference in basic strength. While in first and second case, the difference is because of inductive effect of CH3 only. So SIR effect will be dominating. So there will be a big difference between the basic strength. So their Kp will have higher difference. That's why pKb will also have higher difference. So magnitude of pKb difference between 1 and 2 is more. That's why this is also incorrect. Next, given resonance effect is more in 3 than 4. That is correct because in the second case, steric inhibition of resonance is applicable. So here this lone pair will be more in resonance than the fourth case. This is correct. Steric effect makes compound 4 more basic than 3. That is also correct. So here answer must be C and D. Okay. Then to the another question. It given consider the following transformation of compound P. You can see that compound P, when treated with platinum hydrogen, it is producing uh, saturated. You can say all pi bonds are being removed here. Then a reagent X is used, and then KMnO4 H2SO4 heat is given, and it is given optically active acid. While in other case it is NaNH2 reactions there, and then we treat it with a carbonyl compound followed by hydrolysis and protonation and heat. It is also given an optically active R. So there is no certain clue about the compound P because no other information is given. So we'll proceed with the options. In the option, we have two options for P. Uh, this is one, this one, and this one. So we have to assume first any one of them and then proceed for the reaction. Then if it will satisfy the conditions, that will be the answer. So I'll assume that P is first compound given in the option A. This is our assumption. I'm not sure whether it is the answer or not. So I've assumed this is P. And if this is P, then it is treated with NaNH2 first. If this is P, then it is treated with NaNH2 first. So it will form a carbanion first. Terminal alkyne is present, so it will form minus charge here. Then it will react with the carbonyl compound C6H5COCH3, nucleophilic attack. And then we have product as COH and followed by protonation definitely C6H5 and CH3. Okay. And then it is given protonation and heat, that means dehydration of alcohol. You will get finally this as a product. So now you can see that in this compound, this is the chiral center, so it is optically active. That means that all given conditions are satisfied for R. That means one way it is correct. Now you have to check the other side for Q, whether it is right or wrong. So for R, it satisfies the condition that R is optically active, all the reactions are fulfilled. That means with respect to R, it can be an answer, but now we have to check the other side also. Then we'll comment on the option P. So if I take same P again, and now it is treated with palladium carbon curolene, because it's a clue in the question with the option B that we are treating palladium carbon curolene hydrogen. That means partial fraction of triple bond to double bond, because further it's given K1O4 H2SO4 heat reaction, it's given optically active acid. That means there should be some pi bond present. So palladium carbon hydrogen, it will reduce triple bond to double bond, and your answer will be this. And when we treat it with K1O4 H2SO4, that means it is oxidative cleavage, and your final answer will be this carboxylic acid. Other side it will be this carboxylic acid, and this side, this one is the carboxylic acid. So now you can easily notice that it becomes optically inactive. How optically inactive? Because from this carbon position, this carbon chain and this carbon chain is identical. This is CH2COH, CH2COH group, so this is optically inactive. That means our given P is not the correct one because the question is given optically active acid. So P is, hence assumption is wrong. Now try with the other option. So definitely P is this option. Now check other cases with this option. So if P is this, then if I write the reaction of this P, then its Q must be this one. Because the only difference is the position of the pi bond, rest all factors are same. So with respect to reaction, there won't be much difference. So now you can see that this is a chiral center and it is optically active carboxylic acid. Q condition is satisfied here. Now if I try R for this, then R will be this one. Just like the above case I have written, as a symmetrical case, just the position of pi bond has changed. So if you use the similarity, so there will be no need to write the reaction again. This will be R. And this is the chiral center, so this is also optically active. That means the other condition is also satisfied. That means P structure is the second one which I have taken in the second time. So this is PQR, we have marked all. Now check the options. In the option it's given option A is certainly wrong, option B is certainly correct, option C is correct, option D if you match, so it is not matching with the structure of R what I have drawn at the end. So it is matching with the structure when P is A, so that is certainly wrong. That means answer for this question should be B and C. Okay. Now moving to the third section of this paper, which is numerical value type questions, where you have to write the answer up to 2 places of decimals. So in the first question is given solution of 0.1 m weak base is titrated with 0.1 m strong acid HA. The variation of pH for the solution with the volume of HA added in the shown in the figure. What is the pKb value for the base? So you can notice that when volume of acid HA is added 0, at that time pH is 12. So we know that the pH of weak base, which is 0.1 m initially, is 12. And with this data, we can find out the pKb. Now the only confusion is whether as alpha is negligible or not. That we have to cross check. So initial pH of weak base is 12. Initial pH of weak base is 12. So we can write pOH will be 14 minus 12, which is 2. Okay. And now we know that for weak base, OH minus concentration will be C alpha. And C is given to you 0.1. And OH minus concentration 10 to the power minus 2. So alpha will be 0.1 here. And then we can write Kb is equal to C alpha square upon 1 minus alpha. And the question it's given directly, you can notice it that 1 mole of base reacts with 1 mole of acid. That means it is weak monobasic acid. That we can get an idea from this equation. Okay. So Kb is equal to C alpha square upon 1 minus alpha. C is given to you 0.1. Alpha is given to you 0.1 square upon 1 minus 0.1. So this comes out to be 10 to the power minus 3 by 0.9. 10 to the power minus 3 by 0.9. Now you have to simply calculate pKb, which is minus times log of Kb, 10 to the power minus 3 by 0.9, or simply we can solve it like 2 plus log 9. Or better to say pKb will be equal to 2.96. Or you can round it off to 3, depends. Although it is a numerical value type answer, so we must write answer 2.95 or 2.96 closest, because log 3 I have taken 0.48. You will take exact value, then it can be somewhere between 2.95 2.96. Better is 2.95 or 2.96. I have written 2.96. Then the next question is given liquid A and B form an ideal solution. Because here alpha is 0.1, you can say it is negligible, but there is no need of neglection. If I can calculate the exact value, I'll prefer to calculate exact. Instead of calculating OH minus by root of C Kb, I'll prefer to calculate in this manner. That will give you more accurate answer, as it is a numerical value question. So you must be precise about the values. If it would have been an integer type of value, then we would have rounded off to 3. Otherwise, the answer is 2.96. Now, the question number 14 is given liquid A and B form ideal solution for the components A and B at 25 degrees Celsius. Two such solution with 0.25 and 0.5 mole fraction of A have the total vapor pressure of 0.3 and 0.4 bar respectively. What's the vapor pressure of pure liquid B? So it is simply route law question. Pt is equal to xa into Pa naught plus xb into Pb naught simply. In the first condition, it's given 0.3, 0.25 into Pa naught plus 0.75 into Pb naught. In the second condition, it's given 0.4 is equal to 0.5 into Pa naught plus 0.5 into Pb naught. So if we simplify the equation, first equation becomes 1.2 equal to Pa naught plus 3 Pb naught. And the second equation will solve to 0.8 is equal to Pa naught plus Pb naught. So if you solve the two equations, you will get Pb naught is equal to 0.2 bar. So our answer will be 0.20. Because you have to write it answer up to 2 place of decimal. So it is 0.20. Now to the next question, given the figure below is a plot of potential Z versus internuclear distance of hydrogen molecule in the electron ground state. What's the value of net potential energy E naught as indicated in the figure in kilojoule per mole for D equal to D naught, at which the electron-electron repulsion and the nucleus-nuclear repulsion energies are absent. So when electron-electron and nucleus-nuclear repulsion are absent, it means there is no bond between the two hydrogen atoms. That means we have two independent hydrogen atoms in that state. That means potential energy will be because of hydrogen atom. So we can mention first this point: when there is no electron-electron repulsion, and the nucleus-nucleus repulsion, then these are two isolated hydrogen atoms. Two isolated hydrogen atoms. And we know potential energy of hydrogen atom is, so potential energy of hydrogen atom, if you will calculate, this is actually minus 13.6 electron volt into 2. We know that potential energy is double of total energy. Total energy is 13.6 electron volt. Potential energy is double of that, so this much electron volt per atom. Now you have to calculate the total potential energy. Okay. And potential energy we have to report in the unit of kilojoule per mole. Now the total potential energy is minus 27.2 electron volt. Convert electron volt into joule. So 1 electron volt is 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 joule. And this is for one atom. So for 1 mole of hydrogen atom, it is 6.023 into 10 to the power 23. And we have to calculate it for hydrogen molecules. So 2 atoms, so into 2. This is joules per mole. And you have to report answer in kilojoule per mole. So just simplify this value. This comes out to be minus 5242.4 kilojoule per mole. Some of you may solve it by the data that 1.6 into 10 power 19 and 6.023 into 10 power 23 is 96500 coulomb. That data can also be used. In that case, answer may vary a little. So that IIT have to consider that how they'll give marks to the students. There will be certainly a range of answer, but as I'm getting the answer this value, so I'm reporting this minus 5242.40. But certainly its answer will be a range in the final answer, because this much accuracy cannot be calculated without the calculator. So they'll certainly give you a laboratory over here. And there is one more problem, because some people may use charge of 1 mole of electron as 96500 coulomb. So that data if we use, then answer may vary a little. But as per the given calculations, answer must be minus 5242.40 kilojoules per mole. So answer reported is minus 5242.40. Yeah. Now to the next question, it's given. Consider the reaction sequence from P to Q as given below. The overall yield of the major product Q from P is 75%. What is the amount in gram of Q obtained from 9.3 ml of P? Density of P is given to you 1 gram per ml. So density is 1 gram per ml. That means 9.3 ml is same as 9 gram. So first you have to go through the equation. What will be the product Q that we have to mark first. So in this reaction, first step is diazotization. Reaction of aniline with NaNO2 HCl in between 0 to 5 degrees Celsius. NaNO2 HCl in between 0 to 5 degrees Celsius is diazotization. So it is C6H5N2 plus diazonium salt. And then it is the reaction with beta naphthol. So that is an electrophilic aromatic substitution basically. So from this reaction our product will be C6H5 N double bond N, azo coupling will take place. This will be the answer. Okay. And as we have taken NaOH here, so that means medium is alkaline, so we should write phenoxide ion because NaOH is present in the reaction vessel. And finally, you have added acetic acid again. So acetic acid is acid. So this phenoxide ion will further convert into H form. So when we treat it with acetic acid water, so CH3COH and water is taken, it will lead to formation of Q. So this is C6H5 N double bond N. This is your Q. So you can notice from 1 mole of aniline, we'll get 1 mole of Q. So first you will calculate number of moles of P. So P is given 9.3 ml, density is given 1 gram per ml, so it is 9.3 gram. Divided by molecular mass of aniline is 93, so this comes out to be 0.1 mole. As yield is 75%. So if it would have been a 100% yield, Q form will be 0.1 mole. But as yield is 75%, so moles of Q form will be equal to 0.1 into 75 by 100, which is 0.075 moles. Now amount of Q is simply multiplied by the molecular mass. Amount of Q formed will be equal to moles are 0.075, molecular mass of the substance is 248. This comes out to be 18.6 grams. And hence our answer will be 18.60. Answer will be 18.60. Okay. Now the next question is given tin is obtained from castrite by the reduction of coke. Use the data given below to determine the minimum temperature at which the reduction of castrite by coke takes place. So basically castrite is SnO2. Although that sufficient hint is given in the question, also enthalpy of formation and entropy of other substances are given. So with that clue also you can identify the compound. Otherwise castrite is SnO2 and SnO2 is reduced with the help of carbon solid. And in this reaction we'll get tin solid and carbon dioxide gases. This is the reaction. At the minimum temperature when this is feasible, so we go for delta G naught 0 because you know in case of metallurgical operations we will calculate delta G naught negative for the spontaneity, although we know thermodynamic spontaneity is decided by delta G, but in case of metallurgical operation you know a little idea about Ellingham diagram. So there we'll do the question with the help of delta G naught. So first I'll calculate delta H naught reaction. It will be enthalpy of formation of product. Tin solid and carbon solid are in standard state, so their enthalpy of formation will be 0. So enthalpy of formation of CO2 minus enthalpy of formation of SnO2. And first we check the balancing also. So tin is balanced, oxygen is balanced, carbon is balanced. So we can write this value as minus 394 minus 581. So this comes out to be 187 kilojoule per mole. Now if I'll calculate entropy of the reaction, so this comes out to be entropy of CO2 plus entropy of tin. So entropy of product minus reactant, then entropy of SnO2 minus entropy of carbon. So these values are given 210, for tin it is 52, for SnO2 it is minus 56, so minus 56, and for carbon it is given 6, that is minus 6. If we simplify this value, this comes out to be 200 joules. Now for delta G naught to be 0, delta H naught must be equal to T delta S naught. So temperature must be delta H naught by delta S naught. So this is 187 into 10 to the power 3 joules by 200. If you solve, you'll get 935 Kelvin. So answer is 935.00. Okay. Now the last question of this paper. It's given in an acidified solution of 0.5 m Zn2 plus is saturated with 0.1 m Zn2 plus. Saturated with 0.1 m H2S. What is the minimum molecular concentration of H plus required to prevent the precipitation of ZnS? So you know that H2S on dissociation will produce 2H plus and sulfide ion, and it is this H plus ion concentration regulated externally. So we can write H plus into sulfide ion concentration divided by concentration of H2S is equal to K1 into K2. So if you simplify, we get sulfide ion concentration is equal to 1 into 10 to the power minus 21 into concentration of H2S 0.1 by H plus square. And then we know for precipitation, Zn2 plus concentration into sulfide ion concentration must be equal to Ksp. So if we apply that condition, then for precipitation, Zn2 plus into sulfide ion concentration is equal to Ksp. So this is 0.05 into 1 into 10 to the power minus 21 into 0.1 by H plus concentration square should be equal to 1.25 into 10 to the power minus 22. So from here, if you solve H plus concentration square, it comes out to be 0.05 by 1.25, which is 0.04, or simply H plus concentration is 0.2. So answer for this question will be 0.20. So this completes your paper. Thank you so much.